Times it's all.
Let's go, Rider Nation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. It's a feeling now. Get 'em high, get 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
This podcast is the Brett Lothar tonight of podcast. We have no idea what we're doing. It works and it doesn't. That's exactly what's
But
going
we're
on.
doing it with a smile.
We're
Because
doing
the
it anyway.
Riders win 28-23, 2-0, plan the parade, crack open your lawnmowers.
Oh.
I didn't bring one. Uh-oh.
Wow, you should have that ready.
I should.
But
I got to
anyway,
drive Uber after this. I probably shouldn't crack a Churchill.
Okay, well, I'll have one for you here. Riders 2-0, beating the Ticats in a game that was something. That game was
Well,
I mean,
like
they won.
I said, my daughter's really become a fan this past off season, and she is going through every game now. It's like this is what it's like to be a Rider fan. Just unfortunately get used to it. That's all you can do. Is just get used to it.
Congratulations on giving your daughter about 20 extra or less years of life expectancy. Because this
she'll
team
have a
does
good run
nothing but
regardless.
crush our hearts.
So immediately right off the bat, as Duncan says in the comments, a kicker coming in this week. Are we going to see one?
Pretty sure Brett Lothar missed another kick while we were talking here.
I've already made my my feelings very public right now, and yes, Sheldon, I am stealing your gimmick. I don't care. Day 2 will be tomorrow. We need Eric Maximic in Rider Green as soon as possible to at least get Brett Lothar kicking right, because when we had a guy that retired pushing him, he was actually kicking in preseason, and now I don't know what that was. That was woo.
Can that James Evans guy that we have on the practice roster, the global punter, can he kick field goals?
The Kiwi kicker? I don't know.
We saw this last year with Brett Lothar. Obviously, had the bad game against Montreal. Not going to say it cost the team the game last year. Definitely had a big impact on it, though. That's for sure. Same sort of thing almost happened here. 2 for 5, missed an extra point. Like it was, and in a game where you're only going to win by 5 points, you need those points. That said, Brett Lothar, we've seen this from him before. Last year, I was very vocal. Bring somebody in, get rid of him. He lost it. I ate my crow. He was the best kicker after that. So I'm not going to panic just yet, although I would not be upset with bringing in another kicker right now, just to have not a threat of replacing him, but just saying, hey, you got to be better.
The problem you have with a guy like Brett Lothar, as soon as he misses one, he gets in his head, and it's like they come in huge spurts, and he goes through a stretch where he'll miss a few, he'll miss a bunch. We saw it last year in the game against Montreal where he missed, 3-4 kicks in a game, and now again he missed 4 more today. That's 10 points in a 1-score game. We're already talking victory half an hour ago if he makes his kicks. Like, it's just, you got to bring somebody in at least to like that fire under his butt. It seems to be what it takes for him to get going again. Find somebody, bring him in, and not the kicker they had in that first preseason game. Maybe somebody who can kick it at least 2 of the goalposts.
Is that Ben Hadley?
Yeah.
No, Hadley was one that retired. It was the other guy they brought in. But it's, even if he makes half those kicks, we are not having a panic attack when Bo Levi Mitchell's thrown it deep. Like, it's but
So-
also can we cover Kenny Lawler? Like, is there a rule that says that we cannot have a defensive player within 10 yards of him until the ball is thrown?
I said it to you guys in our DM group. I'll say it here with a slight edit. Kenny Lawler needs to F off. And that's a compliment to him. He's so good and he kills us all the time. Did it with Winnipeg, especially we saw in the West final last year. Was starting to do it again this game. And it started like early and just didn't seem to stop, especially in the fourth quarter when Bo started airing it out a little bit more and the offenses started going back and forth. Cover the guy, maybe. And this goes to the soft zone defense, which we saw the first play of the game, the middle of the field, wide open behind the linebackers. I get that Corey Mace isn't going to, like, he's dropping that safety back so far. These guys are so deep that there's so much room behind the linebackers. And I get it. We'll give you some yards. We'll let you kick field goals. We're going to stop you from scoring touchdowns. That's the mantra that he has. This is exactly what Richie Hall did, and it drove me nuts. I hated it, but I think I hate this more now because I expect better out of this defense. Am I wrong for that?
No, because first play of the game, I'm like, I hate. It was literally the first play I texted you guys. I hate this soft zone already. Because what was it, 20 yards on the first play? Like, just ridiculous.
Look at the talent that they've got in that front seven. Why are we playing this soft zone? Those guys we are loaded up with CFL vets who can play man-to-man coverage and actually succeed. This isn't a bunch of rookies you're teaching the game. It's working, obviously, standings wise, we're getting the wins, but we could be doing better.
A lot of people in the comments, I don't know if you guys are seeing the comments like I am, but apparently I can pull them on screen. A lot of people are talking about Lothier because I think that is going to be
open tryouts.
Yeah.
Leave a guy in Hamilton, let him kick for a week, leave a player personnel, leave Larry Dean with him. What is he, player personnel guy? Leave him with him. If he's good, just put him down the QEW to Toronto next week, and the Riders are there on Friday. The Riders are actually coming back to Saskatchewan tonight, practicing in Regina, and going back out to Toronto next week. But just to kind of wrap up the whole Lother thing anyway, yes. Boris Beatty's available. Dean Faithful are some names that are coming up in the comments here. The guy that won Windy Kick for $1 million. Yeah. He's out there.
He might be aged out by now.
Yeah, just for the 50-yarders. That's the only thing that guy could kick, right? I don't think they'll bring one in this week. If Lother has a bad game again next week, then you have to. But I think this week, no, let him work through it. We saw that last year. He turned out to be the best kicker in the second half of the season last year. He's earned the right to be able to work through it, but it is frustrating. It's very frustrating. Steve, you mentioned the D-line getting pressure and the front seven. To me, so at the end of the game, they got pressure when they didn't get sacks, but they were getting to Bo Levi Mitchell, forcing those throws at the very end on that last drive. But I found that it was when they were stunting, is when they were moving around on the D-line. That's when they had their most success. When they were just straight up rushing 3 or 4, they weren't getting to them. And I know Bo Levi is the gunslinger. He can do the quick release and all that. But if we're not going to blitz, which only happens a handful of times for this defense in a game, where we saw, CJ Revis get a sack, get those stunts going, because these guys can move. The ends can move. The guys on the inside, Mike Rose is an absolute machine. You get him going and having offensive linemen not lined up against him, and all of a sudden he's in your face. Like, they're not going to be able to cover that. So I'd like to see more stunts out of this D-line.
Absolutely. If you're not going to blitz, you got to do something, because what they're doing, the straight up four-man rush, is not working. We saw it wasn't even that Bo Levi Mitchell was doing his usual quick release. He had all the time in the world on a lot of those plays where he stepped up into a wide open pocket and could stare downfield for several seconds. It's a bit of an issue, and it's not an issue I expected to see this early in the season when we looked at, the signing of Shane Ray, Mike Rose, and Malik Carney on the outside. And, it wasn't a problem I expected to have, but it's still early.
Mike Rose, though, what a beginning of the game he had. Like, he was.
Thank you, Calgary.
Oh.
Let's talk about the offense here for a minute. We'll start with the O-line, because that transitions obviously to the run game. AJ Ouellette having what was it, 96 yards, still can't break that, has 81 in the first half, can't get to 100. Like, that's depressing in a way, but that's, they just kind of abandoned the run game in the second half, and the O-line wasn't creating those holes, but they were creating some really big holes. Obviously that big 47-yard touchdown run, but there was chunk plays, and it was with Kadeem Carey in there too. So we've been harping over the offensive line not creating holes. They did, just at least in the first half of this one. So maybe that's, that next step that this O-line can take, because pass protection again was, except for the one sack that Hamilton got, pass protection again was very good for this team.
And even like the run blocking still was, I would say, suspect, but they seemed to find their rhythm as the game progressed. I still want to see a little bit better. And actually, there's a few times on short yardage, I thought Tommy was going to kick it out to the outside because Hamilton was absolutely crashing that middle. And I think we're going to see Tommy break one to the outside one of these games and do what he did to us last year.
Do you know how nice it is to be able to sit back and relax when it's Tommy time? Like, for the last half decade, that 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1 play, or the goal line plays, we were panicked every time, and rightfully so. This team could not convert 3rd and 1 to save their lives. I have zero stress, zero concern. I sit back on those plays, leaned back in my chair, arms behind my head, kicked my feet up because I knew we were getting the yards. Such a change, and I've said it on Twitter, Tommy Stevens might have been our best offseason signing.
Well, yeah, because all the other
short yardage quarterback. Hey, doesn't matter why.
Thoughts on Kadeem Carey and the split that they use between them? I thought the split is probably closer to about 80-20, 85-15, something like that. Maybe it was closer to maybe 75-25, but very heavy for AJ. But what are your thoughts on Kadeem Carey in his first game action?
Still better than what they did with Rock when Rock knew the playbook. Like, Carey got here this week and he actually got to touch the ball a few times, which was nice. He looked good. Like, I kind of forgot. It's funny, they're like talking about it, that Dusty and Suter, like, yeah, when your backup running back is a 1,000-yard rusher. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Imagine being an opposing defensive line right now and you see AJ Ouellette in his hard rushing style walk off to the sidelines. You think you're going to get a breather, and in comes Kadeem Carey with his hard rushing style. They're just going to run it people's throats, and it's going to be fun to watch. I hope they can keep them both on the field all year long, because that will work.
But here's your problem. At some point, you want TBH back on the roster for both his special teams, and also he can also run the ball too, as proven by last week and anytime he's been given a shot. So what a problem to have 3 running backs that are all very good at what they do.
When you bring TBH back, I think you have to keep both Carey and Ouellette on.
I think you dispel Runge. I think that's the only thing you can do.
Are you going to take Runge off the roster completely, or maybe it's a guy like Exume? Because it'll have to be a guy that's a backup that plays special teams. You're probably not going to take off Weeb. You're not going to take off Straker. So I wonder if that's the play. But they got to find a way to make it work.
I think Runge is the one that makes the most sense. Your TBH in a pinch could run in as fullback as hard as he blocks. Plus, you can use him in the offense in the play. The 2 plays they actually use Runge for in this game. And he plays special teams. I think that is where we're going to see. We're going to see him become the new Neil Hughes, the running back that's actually is listed as a fullback.
We're not going to spend too long talking about this, because we're going to save a lot of our thoughts for next week's show, because otherwise we won't have anything to talk about. Roland Milligan getting that pick 6. Man, if there's any doubt who the MOP is in the CFL, it's absolutely him. And I think Rob Van Stone pointed out that the Riders have, 6 or 7 pick 6s against Bo Levi Mitchell, dating back to him starting in 2014.
Yep.
So I didn't realize we had that many against him. We had the Duron Carter one, which still has the best call of all time, with Rod Peterson saying, Bo Levi, shut your mouth. And then obviously Milligan in this game. But when you need a big play, he's the man.
He's why we have yard signs. Like, he is that good. Like, him going down last week was my biggest concern, because if he was out for a long time, it was going to, it wouldn't be an issue with the defense, but it would have been a problem for at least the short term until they figured out what they had to do to survive without him. But he is so good back there. He's so good in coverage. He is so good when he catches the ball. It's funny. Someone told me, a Bomber fan said, there's no way in hell he's getting like 8 interceptions again this year. And I'm like, well, there's one.
He might.
My favorite part about that broadcast was when you heard right after his interception, I don't know if it was Glenn Suter or Dustin Nielsen, goes, we were just waiting for Roland Milligan to wake up, as if he didn't miss the entire first game before that play happened. Like, sorry, he was hurt. Wasn't out on the field. What else can we say about the guy? We have said it all over the last couple of years. He is the heart of that defense, if not the heart of this roster. As he goes, this team goes.
And after 2 weeks of the CFL, he deserves to be the number 1 player in the league, because you look at who is number 1 going into the season on TSN's top 50. His backup rushed for more yards than Brady did almost all of last year. So in one game. So Roland Milligan, greater sign, Brady Oliveira. And that's not a slam at Brady. That's just me saying that Roland Milligan was robbed. I want to talk about Keyshawn Johnson and that drive, which was the Keyshawn Johnson drive. It was 4 catches, 69 yards. Nice for the touchdown. Thank you, Sheldon. Sheldon pointed that out. They reminded me so much, Trevor Harris to Keyshawn Johnson with all those slants. Remember how great the Cody Fajardo to Shaq Evans connection was in 2019? Just that hot route, that slant. That's exactly what it reminded me of. Yeah. And Keyshawn's also a guy, we saw it last year, where he can go deep and he can, moss dudes, catch the ball over top of somebody, just like Shaq Evans did in that year. Just for whatever reason, it just reminded me of it. And the more that they can get this guy the ball, obviously you're going to have games where Emilus is going to have the big game with over 100 some odd yards. Keyshawn Johnson this week, maybe next week it's Dante Myers, but the more you can get a guy like Keyshawn Johnson involved in the game is going to get this offense really rolling.
I'm going to hold some stuff for the show on Tuesday, but I love everything about a receiving core right now. Like, DDB was locked in, Keyshawn Johnson locked in, Dante Myers, what a catch.
That was a great catch.
At first I didn't think he actually got his foot down, and then the replay is like, wow, that was a very good play. So yeah, I will be gushing about our receivers on Tuesday.
The way TSN went off about that Kenny Lawler catch in the first half, and then made like 2 comments about the Myers catch and then moved on from it. Myers catch, infinitely better. All Lawler had to do was jump and reach. Come on. Literally his job, catch a football. Just saying.
Congrats on being tall. Like, what do you want from that?
No bias, no homer.
Yeah.
Keyshawn 8 catches, 124, and of course that go-ahead touchdown. Del Duncan Busby 5 catches, 59 yards, but they were all kind of chunk plays there to move the chains when the offense needed to get going in the fourth quarter there. So, sorry, third quarter he started getting going. In the fourth quarter was the Keyshawn takeover. I'm bringing up the stats here, and I just see AJ Ouellette 13 for 96, just wishing that they could have got that 100-yard game. Adam Stewart, great comment. No injuries. That was a big thing. Yes, Thanks for bringing that up. No injuries, at least that they showed that we know of. Anything that's major, right? So it looks like we avoided anything big in this game, which is good, because I mean, as great as the Riders' depth is, you don't want to rely on that depth this early in the season to get you where you need to go, right? Thoughts on Trevor Harris? Because when it counted, in that fourth quarter, he really showed up, but it just felt like he was fighting it the whole game. I'm not sure if it was something that he saw with the defense, but it looked like the arms or the arm strength just wasn't there. It looked like he was underthrowing a lot of balls. They just weren't being placed where they normally are. And he's a guy that relies on accuracy. He's the most accurate passer in CFL history, like in completion percentage. Like he is Mr. Accurate. He just seemed off.
Well, that interception at the beginning of the game was obviously an underthrown ball. If he would have hit, was it Johnson in stride or who was that?
Johnson or Emilus.
Yeah, Emilus was Emilus. If he would have hit Emilus in stride, that was to the house, no problem. But because Emilus had to slow up, it gave the Ticats enough time to break it up, and then the ball just popped up. It was weird. Like, he was fighting it all game, and then that one drive near the end, I texted you guys. I'm like, he is forcing it when he doesn't have to. We just need short chunk yardage and just kill the clock. And he's trying to get that touchdown to put them up. Like, we were still up. Like, we didn't have to force it. And there he was. And then Lothar misses that kick. And I'm like, oh, here we go.
It definitely felt like he was locked in a little more than usual on, well, it was Keyshawn Johnson for a bunch there. And that worked. On the one drive, it worked. But it seemed like he was locked in on one guy on every throw. It didn't matter if he was open or not. And it led to a lot of either difficult catches or just throwaways because the guy wasn't open. To me, up until that drive in the fourth, I would have said this might have been Trevor Harris's worst game as a rider. He was just off from start to finish. It wasn't even just underthrowing. He was just off on most of his throws in that first half. But he bounced back and kind of proved us all wrong. And his stats will look a whole lot better as a whole than that game was.
Steve, I know you got to get going here. We'll save a lot more for next week's episode on Tuesday night. I'm going to bring up one comment here from Mike. And what the hell was that call on Emilus? The little slap. We will get into this for sure on Tuesday night when we do the podcast.
We will get into it heavily on Tuesday.
I will just say this now. At some point, I know the letter of the law. Sure, you touch the guy's head, penalty. We have to let common sense prevail. At some point, common sense has to step in, right? Apparently not.
We're still waiting on it, so who knows?
Yeah. There's nothing common about common sense if I've learned anything in my time of walking this planet.
The Riders did not play their best game by far that we've seen them with this regime, but they still found a way to win, and that's what good teams do. With kind of an easy start to the schedule with Ottawa, Hamilton next week, and Toronto without Chad Kelly, looks like it'll be Nick Arbuckle again, and hopefully it's the same Nick Arbuckle that showed up today because he was awful. 3 wins to start the season would be huge for the Riders here. These are the teams you need to beat, and they have the exact same first 3 games as Calgary does, and all of a sudden Calgary's 2-0, and what? I did not expect that whatsoever.
Nope.
Not that I expect them to keep that up, but this early in the season, I mean, every win counts, right? So Riders did not play their best. They found a way to win, and we're 2-0. So I'll go to bed happy.
Are we going to repeat all of last week's show, basically? Didn't play their best, still won. Happy dance.
We didn't nitpick things last week. I think we'll nitpick a few things this week.
Yeah.
Might be.
There's some nits to pick on this one.
But we will do that on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. You'll get the show. So join us then. Thanks for joining us here, hanging out with us for a little bit post game as the Riders beat the Ticats 28-23. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for watching in, and we'll do this again. Again,
we'll let you know. Later.
Thank you for being such a big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.